to start streaming live content. So I wanted to just hop on here and go ahead and start streaming this live content, which makes me very nervous, but that's the whole point of this channel. So my name is Christine. I am a registered yoga teacher. I completed 200 hours of training. I did my training in person. It was life-changing. I enjoyed doing yoga as a student. I am not currently teaching, with the exception of lovely YouTube yogis. I was teaching, and I just decided that I'm at a point in my journey where I want to focus more on my personal practice and more on how I present myself as a yoga teacher. Enough about that. I feel like most of the people who view my videos seem to be drawn to arm balances, number one. Yay. They're relatively new in my practice, although I'm getting more proficient at them. I do feel like my viewers are also interested in inversions, aka headstands, which is the primary inversion in my practice. The other inversion that I have is a chin stand. So it took me a long time to learn how to do inversions and learn how to do them proficiently. And I was inspired to start this channel because my yoga practice has kind of taken a unique path. I originally started, quote, practicing yoga 10 years ago, and it wasn't something that I can afford. It isn't something that I feel, as someone who didn't grow up with a lot of money, yoga wasn't affordable. So I started doing yoga on a DVD, and I had an Iyengar style book that named the poses and gave you a very specific way to do them. This was 10 years ago. And kind of the cliche that you hear in mainstream society is yoga is relaxing. And I didn't find, watching a yoga DVD or reading a book to be that relaxing. It kind of felt like a chore back then. So what I used to do was just take my yoga mat, and I lived in a pretty small, low income apartments, some Section 8 housing. And I literally used to take my yoga mat. There was no grass, and I would just put it in the parking lot. And I would practice yoga in the parking lot behind my mom's car, so no one ran me over. I'm sure my neighbors thought I was crazy. It was also a kind of a loud, it could be violent at times, nothing too dramatic or extreme. It just wasn't a peaceful place, but I made it my peaceful place. I went out there with my cheap little yoga mat, and I would sit in the sun, and I would breathe and just do whatever my version of yoga was. I'd never even met a yoga teacher at that time. And that was kind of my experience with the practice for at least a decade, was just kind of breathing and, stretching and doing things that I had seen online. And then fast forward to 2022, I became a serious YouTube yogi. I was doing in 2023, I did a 365 days of fitness challenge. And on the days that I didn't feel like running or lifting weights, I would do yoga. And there is a YouTube creator that I like, and I don't know if we're allowed to mention other YouTube creators, but there is one YouTube yoga teacher that I absolutely love. Yeah. And so now I also have a studio membership because it's something I can afford. Studio memberships, in my opinion, if I had to, as someone who has not been able to afford this, it's a luxury, I think, and from where I'm coming from, a studio membership isn't accessible to everyone. For what I pay now, the time in my life where I was just taking my yoga mat and practicing in a parking lot, I would have spent this money on, the studio membership money on groceries, hands down, or paying off a medical bill or paying off a credit card bill. So I feel so blessed. I became a yoga teacher for myself, really. I felt overwhelmed teaching it. It kind of temporarily, at least at this point on my journey, teaching it kind of took some of the joy out of it. Um, because as a new yoga teacher with a newer practice, I was just overwhelmed. There's like the body mechanics of it. I want my students to practice safely. There is a breath work component to it. Yoga is a philosophy. It is rooted in spirituality. Um, and there was just so many different kind of moving pieces. And then the thing I really didn't like about teaching is, people would say, well, I didn't get a workout. And I'm like, well, yoga isn't a workout, it's a philosophy. And the way I interpret the practice and the way the practice kind of came into my life is it is just something that forced this self-study, that forced me to say, okay, these are the patterns that I'm living in my life. And I would see them on my mat, like perfectionism, um, you know, judgment, critiquing, shyness. So I would see these things. There's nothing wrong with these things, right? It's part of the human experience. But as I learned this part of myself about this part of myself on my mat, I started carrying it into real life. And that's why I practice yoga. And I know everyone doesn't, and that's fine. Um, but like I said, where I am on my journey right now, I just want to share it from the heart. And I'm in front of a camera. So if someone didn't think they got a good workout, they could just click to the next video, like I don't need a phone call on my day off. This is like telling me someone didn't like my class. Okay, sorry. Like there were 11 people in the class, and if one person didn't like it, I think I'm doing pretty good. But also, yeah, that's like, it was just, and then just dealing with things like I would teach in a room that was 58 degrees, freezing cold. Like it wasn't supposed to be cold yoga. It was just freezing cold. And so I would like go in 2 hours early to like set up the room, make sure the room was warm enough. Um, yeah, and I teach from my heart again, so I don't want you to walk into a freezing cold class. So I will put myself out there and I'll make you nice and warm and cozy. But at the same time, yes, I'm getting paid for it. Actually, I didn't get paid for that time of setup and everything else that I did. Um, I love yoga and teaching it. There's nothing wrong with teaching it. I'm not dissing anyone. I'm not putting anyone down. I love yoga. I love yoga. I've said that a million times. I'm actually currently studying I think it's a 30-hour yoga philosophy course. I'm certified to teach yin, and I'm doing all this stuff for myself. And it's like, we spend our lives, we go to college degree and we learn with other people in mind. And along the way of learning, we learn about ourselves. This is, it's kind of a hobby. Obviously it's a passion. Um, yeah, and it's just something I've done to kind of learn about myself. So I am taking a break from teaching. I do hope to go back. Maybe I haven't even put that much thought into it. Honestly, at where I am like mentally right now, I would go for a regular 9 to 5 before I went for teaching yoga. It was a lot of hours. Mostly unpaid. um, yeah, so if I decided to teach yoga in person again, it would have to be worth my time monetarily. Like I would have to feel like you're paying me a wage that says you respect me and respect my time and respect these certifications that I'm getting to teach people what they want to learn. I don't want to get like too negative. I'm trying to keep it real. But anyways, where was I going with that? I do love sharing my practice on YouTube, because it's kind of my channel is so new that it's just me, like, sharing. It's just me saying, like, right now what I'm doing is I'm making shorts, and I'm seeing kind of what gets clicks. I'm, like, looking at the analytics, like, okay, what do people maybe want to see? Um, and, even if you're just, like, scrolling on your phone and you're like, "Wow, that chin stand looks really cool. I'm gonna, like," I don't know if you could bookmark it or save it. I'm obviously a geriatric millennial. Um, but yeah, even if you, like, see a video and you're like, "Wow, that looks really cool. I'm gonna go try that." My inspiration and what inspires me and what kind of keeps that light in me to wanna share this practice instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm just doing this for myself." Um, what keeps that light in me is just the thought of someone seeing a video and saying, like, "You know what? Maybe I'll try that." And that is where even that's what I miss the most about teaching in person is, I would see people try something and then I'm watching you in person and I make a cue for an adjustment and the person would make the little adjustment. And to me, it takes like such a brave person. Like I've been, called out in class to like make an adjustment and I've like felt embarrassed. But when you finally make the adjustment and you finally feel the difference or you finally, you know, get this particular pose down or you do something you've never done before, those moments, just getting viewers on their mats and passionate about just moving their body. And yoga was there for me when I didn't feel like moving my body. And I was just breathing and kind of stretching and, doing yin is what I called it. And I truly was. I was doing yin yoga kind of before what I knew yin yoga was. So this stream is officially been 12 minutes and 30 seconds long. I'm so excited to be able to interact with an audience. I know I'm just planting the seeds now, but I'm planting them with so much love and so much hope. And I hope y'all have a great day. Yeah, enjoy YouTube, yogis. Take care.